Truck Talk Media.
C10 Talk, episode 243, Austin Schiestel. Who? Exactly. You'll figure it out. Crazy Canadian decides to take his boosted C10 out to Cali, a little Hoonigan action, and race a Lambo. Here we go.
The first race, I said, there's no way you were on it as hard as you could have been. He says, yeah, that's everything that car's got. So for a 780 horsepower Lamborghini, he was moving pretty good. So I guess obviously I was too.
Damn, son. Seeing is believing, and our title sponsor, United Pacific, makes seeing a whole lot easier. The crispness of the United Pacific LED headlights, taillights, marker lights, and more makes seeing and showing your truck that much better. It's time to upgrade your old dim halogens for new LED headlights, taillights, and more. They offer the brightest and latest LED technology. Headlights are available up to 1600 lumens, easy to install, and it fits right in the OEM housing. How about upgrading to sequential taillights? They're DOT approved and ready to ship today. DOT approved. And for you 73 to 80 GMC and Chevy square body guys, they've got the new front parking lights, LED with stainless steel bezel. Think UP Car Parts. That's upcarparts.com.
Let me tell you what Melba's Toast is packing right here. All right, we've got 411 posi track out back, 750 double pumper, Edelbrock intakes, scored over 30, 11-1 pop-up pistons, turbojet, 390 horsepower. We're talking some fucking muscle.
What does that do? Does that blow your mind? That just happened.
Welcome to C10 Talk, your C10 truck podcast.
And now I have a chance to be the best, maybe the best in the world.
My old man, he's a television repairman. Got the ultimate set of tools. I can fix it.
I said I got 50 cents in that jukebox, and all I can hear is your mouth clapping. You hear that?
Here's your host, Ronnie Welch.
What is up? What is up, my brothers and sisters? C10 Talk coming at you with Austin Schiestel. I slaughtered that name. What a great story. I'd reached out to Austin and said, hey, let's get you on the pod. He said, hey, I got an opportunity. I'm going to run out to Cali and going to be on Hoonigan, this versus that. So let's wait. So we did, and even better because now we've got some more content to talk about. When you guys watch the video, it's pretty fun, and you get to see Austin's personality. Obviously, you're going to get to hear a little bit of who Austin is, the crazy Canadian, him and his buddies, his crew, and what they do. So, good times ahead, episode 243. All right, slow down coming up this weekend. I'm going to jump on a plane Thursday, fly up to Sacramento. I picked up a 1979 K5 Blazer. So going to bump up Thursday, head over to the C10 Ranch, C10 King Renee, stop by there on Thursday. And then I think there's a group of us that's going to make a little trip south to the slowdown from probably Merced, Atwater, where Renee's at, over to San Luis Obispo. So slowdown coming at you this weekend. Follow along on C10 Talk. I'm sure when I get to the Sacramento and I get to the Blazer and stuff like that, I'll do a little live or do some posts. But the slow down weekend should be a fun one. Everybody's saying the weather's phenomenal out there, so it's hot as hell here in Phoenix, so I'm looking forward to that. All right, moving along here, some more shows. August 13th, C10's on the Capitol. That's in Olympia, Washington. You can get online there and check that out. C10's on the Capitol. August 20th, the Hoosier Truck Rally. That's in Indiana, obviously the Hoosiers. And then we've got a new one here. Let me go through my mail here. And this is from Brett Sullivan, C10 Club, Illinois. He's pretty pumped about this one, and everything looks like it's going to be awesome. Where they're at is so central, so they're going to pull from a lot of different areas. Let me go through an email he sent real quick, give you some highlights. The Southern Illinois Truck Showdown will happen at the Minor League Stadium in Marion, Illinois. Super cool. On Saturday, September 3rd. However, we will kick off the weekend with an open house house at Level 7 Motorsports. What up, Jesse? Rad dude right there. On Friday at 5 p.m., followed by a pre-party at 618 Tap House. So already digging what they got going here. Then there's going to be some live music. Saturday's show opens to participants at 8 a.m., spectators at 9. The showdown is an all-makes truck gathering and welcomes all pickups, vans, SUVs of all years. So pretty open. This is an unjudged event. However, our sponsors will be giving out their choice awards, which is going to be a baseball bat, which is cool because it's at a minor league field. It'll have the logo of the sponsors on there. Love the idea. They got a hotel lined up. The Marion Holiday Inn Express and Suites is the host hotel and offers a discount when you mention the show. There you go. So if you're out in that area, September 3rd. With direct interstate access, we are filling a void for the truck community. Located 1.5 hours from St. Louis, 4 hours from Indy, 3 hours from Nashville, 3.5 from Memphis, and 3.5 from Louisville. So participant trucks are 20, spectator parking is 5. Pre-registration is available through August 6th. So I don't know if that means you're getting a break and it's $20 as long as you register before August 6th, and then if it changes. But September 3rd, the Southern Illinois Truck Showdown in Marion, Illinois. Pretty sweet. That's going to be a good one. Look forward to seeing what comes out of that one. Brett, thanks for sending that over, and thanks for what you're doing over there in Southern Illinois. All right, so September 4th, the next day, that's going to be the C10 intervention. And remember, they moved from Auburn to Woodland. So Woodland, they shut down the street, and that's the Sunday show. So they do it Saturday night cruise, Sunday show, and then Labor Day is the following day, so you got a day off there to get home. September 4th, C10 intervention, Woodland, California. September 17th, the one, the only, C10's in the Park, Waxahachie, Texas. Love that show. September 17th. Crazy to think of all the stuff that we've got coming up here August and September. So get your trucks ready and let's hit up some of these shows. All right, you guys can check out the video if you're listening to this pod and you're like, hey, I want to see what happens with Austin. Again, it's on Hoonigan, this versus that. Pull up 780 horsepower Lambo versus 800 horsepower Chevy C10, and it will pop up. And just like a lot of that Hoonigan stuff, it's all a really good watch. It's fun, it's entertaining, and it's really cool to see Austin, his personality, and what the guys do. So check that one out. Again, that's this versus that. Pull up Lambo versus Chevy C10. All right, let's get into the episode. Again, I'll be flying out and a little slowdown action this weekend. So thanks for tuning in. I'll have some content for you guys maybe next week. We'll see if I get it done, push it out to you. Okay? Have a great week. Late. All right. How about a little Canada love, Canadian love, all the way from Ontario, Canada? We've got Austin. I'm going to give this last name a shot here. Schiestel?
You're close. Schiestel.
Schiestel. Oh, she's still alive. I like it. She's still alive. Okay, so Austin Schiestel, and he's out of Ontario, Canada. He's got a 1980, if you even want to call it that. Who knows? He's got a square body. We're going to talk about this thing. I know I posted it on C10 Nation, and I love watching what you do with this truck. Boost D, letter D, so Boost D, Super Sport, but there's really no E's in there. So BOOST D SUPRSPORT. Austin, okay, thanks for taking time to be with us. Sit down with us. You're out way east, and yeah, let's talk about your truck, and then we're gonna talk a little bit about Hoonigan. So you guys made a crazy trip all the way out to Cali. What a fun time. So I'll let you guys. I think it was Cali. Let's just get into who's Austin.
I'm 28 years old. I kind of got into kind of working on hot rods and building trucks kind of when I was in high school. So I bought a 1986 Chevy C10. It was a base model, regular cab, long box. And I had a lot of big dreams for it. And just being kind of a young kid and not really any direction, I got discouraged with it. And eventually I did sell it. I picked up a Silverado SS, and it was kind of a quick truck for its time. It ran like a 15-second quarter mile, and I thought that was pretty cool. So I got into putting a cam in it, And eventually I bolted a turbo to it, and it was awesome, but I kind of missed the old square body. So I decided that I would kind of take what I knew, what I learned from working on the Silverado SS, and I kind of applied it to this C10 truck. I'm not really a mechanic. I work in a rock quarry, so I spend most of my time crashing rock. But on the weekends and when I have time off, it's when I end up out in the garage. So I've been working away, and I got another C10, and I kind of applied what I knew to this truck. And I thought, well, the Silverado SS is pretty cool, so it's all-wheel drive. And I thought, you know what, it'd be pretty cool to take a square body truck and make it all-wheel it's four-wheel drive. And build this four-wheel drive truck that's super light and has a whole bunch of power under the hood, the non-existent hood. So.
I love the journey part of it, because like you said, hey, I was a young guy, had no direction, and I picked up an 86 C10, and then you got discouraged. But it's cool that you stuck with it in the sense that, hey, I got my SS, I got my Silverado, and that kind of, at least that was a running, driving truck that you could wrench on, you could adjust and still show up to work on Monday, or whatever. And that built your confidence. You know what I mean? So you needed that time. Yeah. To where you're like, hey, when I'm a young man, when I was still in high school, I picked up this 86. I just didn't have the wherewithal to make all this shit happen. And then the SS kind of carried you through that. And you're like, oh shit, I'm sure time, experience, some troubleshooting, some different things. And then, 4 or 5 years later, you're like, oh, I got this shit. I'm ready to go. And I want to build a rad ass truck again. And I missed my C10. So I'm going to pick a C10.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. So I was working on the other truck, and I thought, I wish I kept my C10, because if I could apply what I know now to what I had before, it would have been a badass truck. So I decided that, well, with COVID and everything that was going on, and I didn't have a lot going on, I thought, I got a lot of spare time, and I'm going to try to do this. And I thought, it's probably going to end up yard art or not really going much of anywhere at all. But I guess I was wrong, fortunately.
How long did this build take? I remember seeing it one time. It was in the snow, and I saw the all-wheel drive part of it, or the four-wheel drive part of it. And then, at that point, we made contact, and we were kind of going back and forth. And you're like, "Hey, I'm going to be headed out to Hoonigan, so let's circle back." And that's where we are now. About how long would you say this truck? Do you have a name? It's an 80, right?
Yeah, it's an 80.
Okay. Do you have a name for it, or you just call it the 80?
I just call it the C10, I guess.
Okay.
Locally, everybody just knows it as kind of the Austin C10. I bought it in October of 2020, and first thing I did is I dragged it home. I used my CAA to drag it home from about an hour away. Bought the truck off a homeless guy. He was living in his van, and he had to sell the truck. I guess he's in Florida now. I don't know how he ended up there, but he got the truck. He used it to tow a camper trailer, and he bought it off of the company that builds like Zamboni ice makers. So he bought the body off of them. So it's been chassis swapped. Technically, the truck is, the cab and the box are an 86. The VIN number's an 80. The fenders are probably a different year altogether, but so I bought it off of him October, September, and I had the truck pretty much where it's at right now by, it would have been about the following winter, because we were joking that I'd have the truck done just in time to park it for the year. So
get it done, and then it snows, and you're like, we're going to go ahead and just park it in the garage. Yeah,
pretty much. It was the longest winter of my life. Up until I got a message, it was New Year's night, I believe, from Brian Scotto to come out to California, like that they were offering to have me out. So it was a good opportunity to get out and try the truck out. It was nerve wracking, but it was really cool to do. I wouldn't trade it for the world, despite it being about the most stressful thing I've ever done in my entire life.
Yeah, it kind of builds who you are. So you get it September, October of 20. You build it. You get ready to put it away for, the winter, October of 21. And then this spring of 22, you went out to Cali. So what was the donor? I believe you mentioned it in the Hoonigan video. What was so you've got the square body. It's a parts truck, a long bed truck that some homeless guy sells you. And then, walk us through picking up a donor and everything else that you guys did.
So, originally my entire intention was to make this kind of an IFS 4-wheel drive. I was going to do it all-wheel drive, but then we kind of decided that the truck would probably work pretty good for like a no prep events. So I wanted to make it selectable 4-wheel drive so that I could at least do my burnout. So the donor ended up being, I found a 2002 Cadillac Escalade on Kijiji, which is like your guys' Craigslist. And it was $1,000, and it was at a dealership about 15 minutes from where I was working. So I went, I checked it out. It had, I think, 450,000 kilometers on it, which I don't know what that works out to in miles.
Usually half, right? So 210,000 miles.
Yeah, it's quite a bit. So I picked it up for $1,000. I sold the engine for $800. And I used the front half of the chassis off of the Escalade, and I used the rear diff from the Escalade. So I was originally going to use the entire Escalade frame and then just buy all Escalade chassis parts. But when I got the body off, it was so rusty, the frame was toast. So I had to come up with another plan. And I got looking at how a lot of like race cars are back halved. And I thought, well, why can't I do that kind of up farther? So that's what I kind of decided to do out of this 2002 rotten piece of crap Escalade.
So I assumed you probably got the motor, but now that I think about it, you have a 6.0 in there, whereas I think an Escadinale is like a 6.2. Where'd you get the motor and the transfer case and all that good stuff? What did it come out of?
So actually, originally it was an LQ9 6-liter, so it was a 6-liter high output that would have been in the Escalade, and I would have kept it. Other than the fact that I was actually trying to make a little bit of my money back off of buying the Escalade, I was basically trying to get it for free. And it did work out, actually. I ended up making money off of it. But the original engine I got in a deal. I bought a crushed truck. It ended up getting crushed in a quarry under a conveyor. So the conveyor fell over, crushed the cab, and I was able to sell the wheels and tires for about what I paid for the whole truck. Pulled the motor out, pulled the tranny out. We went through it. A buddy and I, we did the transmission. So it's still got factory clutches in the tranny, but it's been beefed up a little bit. Upgraded input shaft and stuff like that. The motor's out of the wreck truck as well. And it has an unknown amount of kilometers on it. It's actually, unfortunately, it's currently at the machine shop right now. So it's an L3353 in it right now. So it's an aluminum block, Gen 353 in it. When I was out at Hoonigan, we were doing the last race and the truck was starting to get kind of hot and we were running out of time. So we basically decided that we were just going to send it and bent a rod in the 6-liter. So it survived and it's repairable, but it's away at a friend's machine shop right now getting fixed.
It's always something, right?
Oh, it never ends. Never ends.
So what year was the donor truck that got crushed?
It was, I believe, a 2006. So
Okay.
I'm always kind of wheeling and dealing stuff. So it just kind of worked out that I had this engine and stuff sitting around. So the entire intention behind this C10 was to almost build it for free, which never works out. It by far did not work out, but it's been a great experience regardless of it costing a fortune.
Yeah, I think I mean, you're smart now that you know that, but like you said, you go back over that journey and you wouldn't trade any of it for anything. So even though you go in with the concept of, hey, I'm going to wheel and deal, I'm going to get some parts, I'm going to sell some parts, you're having so much fun and you and your buddies and you're building rad shit. And before you know it, you've got an all-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive again, C10. What's the transfer case? And what did that come out of? Was the donor a 4x4 or did that come out of the Escalade?
So the donor was a 4x4. I pulled the transfer case apart, and somewhere along the lines, it was used and abused. It had no oil in it. It lost all its oil at some point anyways. So the transfer case that I planned on using was seized up solid. I was able to find a transfer case from a 1500 pickup, which has a different input shaft. And I took the donor input shaft and I was able to save it, put it in the 1500 transfer case and slam it together. So it's a full, like it's a floor shift transfer case out of like a 2006 Chevy pickup with a bunch of mismatched parts in it, but it seems to be working. So
your whole truck has mismatched parts and it seems to be working. I mean, you think about it, you've got a different cab, and that's what's so cool about square bodies, right? You can, I mean, there's so many of them built. You took multiple different trucks, you built that truck. Would you say that the majority, I know you said you kind of back halved it, majority of that chassis is all just kind of a combination of handmade, upgraded back half fabricating with some of the Cadillac in there?
I would say about 20% of the chassis is original. The portion of the chassis under the cab is the only original part. And I started off back halving the frame. So I ordered a bunch of steel from Metal Supermarkets, just a local steel supplier. And I literally built the back half on top of the original frame. And then I cut the original frame up from underneath it. And then with the front, I eventually did pull the cab off, and I did like a big bulkhead across the frame and mated the Escalade frame up to it. I took a while to kind of figure it out because the Escalade frame is, I think it was 8 inches wider than a C10 frame. But yeah, as far as keeping the factory cab mounts kind of everywhere where they would have been, that's why I kept the original frame underneath it without having to, well, then I could do everything in steps. I could do the back half, then the front half, and then I still knew that the cab was going to fit on the original chassis.
Are you looking at 2x4, 2x6 metal, and are you fabbing all that up? Are you welding it?
Yeah, I welded everything. So the back half is a 2x4. The main frame rails are 2x4. The risers were like a 2x6 by like just 1/8 inch tubing, just whatever, just generic steel. And the bulkhead that I put in the front, it was a 2x8. And I offset the two frames. So the Escalade frame is 1.5 inches higher up than the C10 frame. So actually it's essentially like a lot of guys do like a Z chop in the frames.
Z notch.
Yeah. So it's basically that same idea. So I was able to actually drop the truck another 1.5 inches without affecting the CV angle in the front too badly too. So my CV shafts actually are almost straight at launch.
So with that bulkhead, is that getting in the way of that front drive shaft? I mean, you just kind of mentioned that, but I'm just trying to picture how the transfer case and did you keep that bulkhead solid?
No, I had to notch it for the engine and tranny. And the nice thing is too, when I offset the frames, it gave me a little bit more room to do so. So the width of the bulkhead is the same as the C10 frame. So it's no narrower than the C10 frame would have been. And then it also sticks out each side of the frame a few inches. So that's where my roll cage actually mates up.
And then because you're saying the Cadillac was a little bit wider, the bulkhead's further out, and then you affix the chassis of the Escalade to the front of that then?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
All right, cool. And then you built the cage. Have you been able to check all those welds? Like once you got back, have you been really you've been putting this truck through some paces here.
Well, the first thing I did to it is I tied it down to the shop floor, put it in 4-wheel drive, and I let her eat. But I haven't really checked too much out. I've kind of been busy with the rest of my life and stuff. So I've got another engine in the truck, obviously. But yeah, like I haven't had much time to test anything. I haven't really driven the truck since it came back from California. So I'm getting pretty keen on trying it out and seeing how well my work held up. I'm not a welder by trade either. So all of this was kind of stuff I kind of learned on my own, and it seems to be working so far. So I'm keen to see how far it goes.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you blow up the 6.0 or you bend a rod and then you get back and you're probably burned out, tired, and exhausted because everything you did to thrash to get ready for Hoonigan. What would you say was the funnest part of this build?
Honestly, I think the most fun I had was when we tied it up to the shop floor. Up until about the point where we were at around 90% mark, when the truck was almost done, that's when it got kind of difficult. But I've had a lot of fun with it all the way kind of through. It was pretty ridiculous because nobody really thought the truck was ever going to work. It did fantastically, but just the shock value alone and surprising myself with the fact that the truck worked as well as it did was awesome.
When you say nobody but you, or just
no,
you and
I didn't even.
you were like, it's not going to work.
Yeah, I didn't think this thing was going to work, so it's pretty crazy that it did.
Yeah, that's cool. Now, if that was your funnest part, what was your least favorite part of the build?
Honestly, the little bit that I've been kind of going through right now. So, I've been trying to find time to work on the truck. And after doing the Hoonigan thing, the truck worked so well. It exceeded my expectations so much that I've been going back through and redoing things because I thought, you know what? It doesn't matter. Like, I'm just going to cobble this together and it's going to be whatever. Who cares? Now I care. So redoing stuff that I've already done not that long ago, that's been pretty difficult. The other thing, before we went out to Hoonigan, we were going through the truck and I fired the truck up and the seal around the torque converter started puking fluid out. And this was a week before we were leaving. And we thought, well, it's probably something small. Maybe there's a cooler line plugged or whatever. So anyways, we found out that wasn't the case. The pump bushing was welded right to the torque converter. And we were pulling the transmission out in the middle of winter in a freezing cold shop in January and taking it to my friend's place, who actually just happened to just get back from Florida. He got back from Florida that morning and we had the transmission apart and fixed the night that we took it over there. And then I ended up putting the tranny back in myself and it was minus 20 whatever Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but it was plenty cold and yeah, not very much fun, I will admit, but it was a huge crunch to get out there.
So you bought a C10 and it either had AC at one time or it wasn't even an option. Well, Vintage Air has the solution for you. Their SureFit kits are designed to place the evaporator and hoses behind the dash for a factory clean look. In most cases, the SureFit systems will be controlled by your stock dash controls using their exclusive cable converters. The Gen 4 kit provides infinite, just right temperature, air blending, and blower fan speed adjustments. The Vintage Air SureFit kits are the best value and the most completely engineered air conditioning system you can install in your C10. Add the fact that Vintage Air has been the most respected name in performance aftermarket climate control systems for 40 years. 40 years? Damn, son. The choice is obvious. VintageAir.com.
Hey guys, I've got Joe Road, Classic Performance Products, CPP back. Joe, let's talk X10 spindles. Go.
Yeah, CPP's one of our most popular parts through the years has been our 2.5-inch drop modular spindles. Really popular part. Well, we've kind of taken that to the next step. We've emulated late model Corvette, Silverado, Chevy technology into our new X10 drop spindles. They use a steel hub, sealed bearing hub, really strong piece.
As you know, Joe, so many guys are building bigger trucks, bigger wheels, bigger brakes, everything bigger and better. Is this X10 something they should be considering?
Oh, absolutely. It's oversized bearings. Definitely great for a guy using big brakes, big wheels, which I'm sure all your guys are.
All right, guys, there you go. If you're looking to upgrade, you need a new spindle anyways. You're going to lower your truck. You're running a bigger wheel, a bigger brake. CPP's got it for you with their new X10 spindle. Joe, as always, thank you. CPP, classicperform.com. It's classicperform.com. Hey, guys, how about a happy 10-year anniversary to the team at Pro Performance? For 10 years, Travis and his team have provided their customers the best products on the market for our trucks. They sell Dakota Digital, Bear Brakes, Boyd Welding, QA1, Vintage Air, and more. They're your one-stop shop for all your truck part needs, stocking fast-moving items to help with production delays. So think Pro Performance when you are creating that parts list for your build. azproperformance.com. That's azproperformance.com.
But it was plenty cold, and yeah, not very much fun, I will admit, but it was a huge crunch to get out there. We got pushed back 2 weeks. I'm not really sure why, but it ended up kind of working in our favor because we had kind of planned on putting the transmission in the truck in California. So it was good to actually have the tranny in here rather than trying to get it in a parking lot at a hotel 51 hours from home.
I can't even believe that you would have, if you wouldn't have had that 2 week, because you talk about how you guys literally tuned it like the day before and finished it in the parking lot. So that 2 weeks, to think that you would have had to even crunch even harder. You got New Year's, you get invited. And then at what point, when did you leave? What day did you guys leave?
We left the Sunday, the week before. So we, I believe, filmed on the Friday, and we drove straight from the Sunday night around 8 o'clock. And I drove us all the way from where we are in Ontario, which I'm actually about 3 hours away from where Rich DeBoss is actually from. And I drove us all the way to the other side of New Mexico before I quit driving. Yeah.
Holy shit. The audience, my eyes just friggin' went like, I gave him the WTF. Like, are you crazy? So you talk about how your buddy got back from Florida and helped you with the transmission. He was probably hanging out with the homeless guy that you stole his truck from him.
It's quite possible.
In Florida. So then you're putting the transmission back in. That's what, January 6th. What are we talking here?
Yeah, it would have been around that time, anywhere from January 6th to 10th, somewhere in there anyways. And I was just lucky enough too that it was slow at work. So I managed to get a bit of time off of work to finish it up. But it was quite the crunch to get it going.
And then you guys leave like at the end of January. When were you supposed to be out? And then when did the 2 weeks at the end of January?
I believe it was January 28th. We were supposed to be there.
Wow.
So that was after the 2 week setback. So it was somewhere January 14th or something like that. That we were originally supposed to be out there, and it was a blessing that it was pushed back. I planned on racing the truck with no back window in it. I wasn't going to race with any gauges in it. I was going to have one set of harnesses, one seat in it, just whatever we could get together just to get out there and do the race. And I didn't even know what I was racing when I got there.
I was wondering about that. That was one of my questions. Did you even know you're going to be, they just said, come out and we're going to have fun.
Yeah. I asked them, I said, well, what am I supposed to race when I get there? They said, well, it's a surprise. We can't tell you. So, my first thought.
Go ahead.
Sorry?
Yeah, go ahead.
My first thought when this kind of all came up is, well, I didn't have a car trailer either. So I bought a car trailer in that time period as well. So, but my first thought, me a border, and we're going to get turned around and sent home. So I told my buddies, I said, yeah, this was either going to be a trip to Sarnia or a trip to California. With everything that's been kind of going on with all the COVID restrictions and whatnot, I was reluctant to even think that we were going to cross. So it was amazing that we even made it where we did. It was amazing that the truck worked as well as it did. And it's truly incredible that I won. Like it's just it was an insane experience. And the fact that just everything kind of worked in our favor.
You broke up a little bit, and I assume you were talking just about getting across the border, filling in the gaps just because of COVID and the restrictions, really more so from Canada. I know you had to be vaccinated, I think last October or something like that, because I dealt with it with a friend of mine. So you guys get across the border. You're surprised that you're even going to get across the border. You drive nonstop. You get all the way to New Mexico. You're leaving the freezing cold. Road trip was fine, no problems, which is that's a bonus.
It wasn't good. So I left with two buddies.
Hopefully you came back with two buddies.
I did, fortunately. It was tough. There was some bickering, but I left with one guy that had never pulled a trailer before in his life and another guy that didn't want to drive in the snow. So it took us till about St. Louis to get out of the snow. We got through Michigan. Michigan was fine. We got through Indiana, I believe, and then got into Illinois. And as soon as we hit Illinois, it was the worst snowstorm I've ever seen in my life. We had a tarp around the truck. It was gone. We were looking for a tarp at a gas station at 2:00 in the morning, driving through a snowstorm just to tarp the truck up. And the GPS on our phones was trying to take us like the northern route. So it wanted us to drive through snow basically all the way there. So anyways, we pulled over at a gas station. I pointed my GPS to St. Louis and we started driving south until we got out of the snow. And I guess I did jump out of the truck. I tried to sleep for a little while in Missouri and didn't really work out. So I jumped back in and I drove us all the way to New Mexico. And I finally jumped in the back of the truck and had to sleep.
You had to be just exhausted by then.
Oh, I was crushed. I was living off of coffee and Bang and whatever else. So super stressed out. And I when we got to St. Louis, I was having like a huge panic attack. I got a call from Hoonigan and they said, "Oh, you guys have to have COVID tests in order to be on set," and all this other shit. And I'm thinking, okay, like no big deal. Well, California had absolutely no COVID tests. So we were supposed to find COVID tests before we even got to California. And I was freaking out. So I called them back and I said, there's no way we can get this done. So fortunately they did manage to get like on-site testing. So that worked out for us. We didn't actually have to find it on our own. But yeah, it was super stressful, but a super cool trip.
Are you still buddies with these guys?
I am still buddies with these guys, actually. Maybe closer than ever, which is good. So
you made it through the journey.
Yeah, incredibly enough. And the drive home was just as difficult, if you can believe that.
Well, wouldn't you say though, we can get into the drive home, but I would think that you would have that pressure behind you. You haven't killed each other. Somebody obviously popped their cherry on pulling the trailer by now. And then the other guy, whether or not he didn't want to drive through the snow. It's just funny that, your end goal is to get to Hoonigan and kick ass, and you did, but getting to and fro ends up being part of the hardest part.
Yeah, it was great and awful. We planned a few stops on the way, which we did actually manage. We didn't really account for the fact that a lot of places we were going to end up going through were at night. But we ended up seeing Cadillac Ranch in Amarillo at like 2:30 in the morning, which was super cool. Really glad we did that, and got to see the Grand Canyon, which is really cool. Like I thought, oh, it's touristy stuff, whatever, but I'm glad we did that too. So, and then the guys actually, when we did get to, we got the other side of Albuquerque, the guys talked me into pulling the truck off the trailer, and we did a couple test hits on some back roads. I was scared shitless we were going to break the truck before we even got there. So, but it worked out pretty good. So it was awesome.
How'd the test hits go? A confidence builder?
Huge confidence builder. I couldn't believe it. I've never driven anything this powerful that was this light. And the one thing that really got me was the fact that the truck was so stable. I did the alignment with a tape measure before we left. Like I didn't even have time to get a professional alignment done. So, and it was super stable. Like I can hit it first, second gear and it'll light the back tires and just go straight, which is awesome.
I guess we should talk about that. What'd you do to the motor? Cause it's about 800 horsepower, right?
Yeah. So it's a stock bottom end. Well, it was a stock bottom end 6-liter and just a Summit Racing turbo camshaft, a decent set of stock heads and a set of springs and a whole bunch of boost. A lot of guys, I guess a lot of guys kind of crap on the there's so many of them out there, it's overdone. But ultimately, at the end of the day, there's such a stout platform that even a stock bottom end, you can easily push 700-800 horsepower out of these.
I lost you a little bit on a lot of guys. I assume, again, putting the pieces of the puzzle together, a lot of guys probably talk shit about LS. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, well, a lot of guys
keep losing you. So. The Northern Lights are firing up over there in Ontario. I don't know. So
really.
So the guys, we were doing good for a while there. So you're just saying, it is hard, right? I can kind of, imagine you're saying, hey, the LS base. It's like the bottom line is, it's the cheapest race motor you can make for the money, right?
Yeah. I usually wheel and deal quite a bit, so I usually end up getting these for $300, $400, $500, and you can't beat it. You really can't. I'd like to build one ultimately, but for now, I'm gonna stick to these junkyard motors until I get all the bugs worked out of the truck and find out kind of what direction I want to go with it and how well it works as is, and then start pushing it. I would love to someday have the truck on methanol making 1,500 to 2,000 horsepower.
Holy shit. What turbo? What size? It's a big old turbo, isn't it?
So originally it was a VS Racing 85 mil, and now I've got like a name brand Borg Warner 85 on it. So it's good for, I believe 1,300 to 1,500 horse, somewhere in there. So
what kind of boost were you pushing before?
I had 15 pounds of spring in it, so I'm guessing the wastegate's a little bit too small, and I would imagine it was around 18 pounds. When I was at Hoonigan and I was staging, I was trying to get my computer to link up, but I'm not really familiar with the Holley system, so I actually never data logged any of it either.
Wow. And then are you running any NOS?
No nitrous or anything like that, just boost.
Wow. So you guys, okay, so you build this motor, and then the transmission, you just had put, your buddy went through it, your Florida buddy who came back. You drive 51 hours, you get to do a little sightseeing on the way over there. Walk us through, the Hoonigan experience. I mean, we get to see a lot of it. I'm going to make sure the audience checks out the races. Really? You didn't know what you were going to race for the audience, a Lambo. And I don't know if I know how to say the word right. Aventador, I think.
It's an Aventador.
Aventador. Okay. So yeah, that's an N, not an R, the way I wrote it. Aventador. It was like a 2019 Aventador with 780 horsepower, pretty much a stock, just beast Lambo. When you first see this thing or when you find out that's what you're racing, walk us through what you're thinking.
Oh man. So we were in the hotel, we got to the hotel in California, and they sent the call list over email. And I'm sitting on the edge of my bed, and I said, okay, like you guys, I asked my buddies, because I honestly don't watch a whole lot of YouTube stuff. And I said to my buddies, I said, who's Damon Fryer? And they said, oh no. And I'm like, what? Because it said he was going to be in a Lamborghini Huracan. And I said, okay, is this thing fast? They said, yeah, it's a twin turbo Huracan. It's like 1,400 horsepower. And I was really discouraged at first. But flash forward to kind of the next day, and he comes rolling in his Aventador SVJ. But I guess the Huracan, the transmission had went out of it the day before. So on his YouTube channel, they tried to fly a transmission in by helicopter from Las Vegas or something to get this car fixed in time in order to get it out to Hoonigan, and it didn't work out for him. So he had to bring the SVJ, which worked out in my favor because I don't think I would have beat that Huracan.
Yeah, it's funny, all the struggles that you guys went through, and then he's dealing with the same shit on his end, just, different, but same. And then it works out for you guys. I mean, you guys were like neck and neck.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Just because I was thrashing on this so hard, and I unfortunately did miss something. My map sensor in the back of the intake wasn't tight. So as soon as this thing would hit a certain amount of boost, it was shoving the map sensor out, and it would cut everything out of the truck. And I'd let back off. It would pull vacuum. It'd suck the sensor back in, and I'd hit it again, and I'd go. I didn't realize this until we got home, and I was able to take the map sensor out with my fingers. So, I wasn't sure why it was cutting, but if it wasn't cutting, I feel like I would have probably put a pretty good gap on him, to be honest.
Nice. Well, about how fast were you guys going? I know miles per hour, kilometers. What do you think you were going at the 1,000 feet mark?
Honestly, based on what I've been in before, so my Silverado SS ran about 11.2 at 124. This felt way faster. I don't know what I was going, but I feel like it was probably in 1,000 feet. I wouldn't want to guess, but it was moving. It was plenty fast. So I'm super keen to get it out to the track and actually get some real numbers on it.
Did he ever say about how fast he was going in the Lambo?
No, he never said. I didn't believe him though, that he said, well, at the end of the first race, he said, there's no way you were on it as hard as you could have been. He says, yeah, that's everything that car's got. So for a 780 horsepower Lamborghini, he was moving pretty good. So I guess obviously I was too.
Oh man, it's a great video. Again, we'll link it up and we'll let everybody know a little bit about it. One of my favorite parts of the video is your attire. I just think that was so funny. And then for the audience, he ends up wearing like a jumpsuit, right? Mechanic style. Obviously he's in heavy equipment. That's one of your, work uniforms. Looks like you're out ready to go hunting. It's bright orange with stripes. But how about this guy, Lee? So let's talk a little bit about that. That shit was awesome, dude.
Man, Lee doesn't talk to me anymore, and it is perfect.
Okay, so tell the audience about your get up and how you ended up with Lee's.
So I work for a construction company, and I was kind of back and forth with my boss. I said, hey man, like, give me some coveralls. Everybody else has coveralls. I don't have a pair. Says, oh, we can't do that because you're not a winter employee or whatever. So I only work, 10 months of the year. So over the whole 2 months that I don't work, they wouldn't give me coveralls over it. So I just started taking everybody else's. I started wearing other people's coveralls, which, whatever, I guess. So I get approached by Lee, and he absolutely loses it on me in front of like half the employees at the like where I work. And I'm like, okay, whatever, like game on, dickhead.
Yeah, but why does he lose it? He's losing it because you stole his attire?
No, just because I was wearing somebody else's. I was just wearing other guys' coveralls, so he's just trying to be, big dicks. So yeah, I took his, and I decided, well, I was wearing them out there just because I was working on the truck. And somebody came up to me and they're asking me, they're like, are you gonna wear those for the episode? I thought, yeah, I'm gonna. So I thought, oh, that's pretty funny, like whatever. And then they started asking me about them. They said, so does Lee know that you have his coveralls? I'm like, nope.
Well, they know your name's Austin, and then a big fat Lee on the coveralls, right? So that's, oh my God, insult to injury, even better, just to rub his face in it. And I'm sure he probably found out about it, right?
Yeah, so I guess somebody was watching the episode at work, and he overheard it. And apparently it was a pretty awkward moment for whoever was watching it at work. But I've heard stories about him getting approached about it by other people too, and he was pretty bitter about it at the time. But I think we're pretty good now. I think he's over it, which is good.
Nice. I wondered if the boss is like, Austin, you can't keep stealing. You know what? We made you your own set. Here's Austin's coveralls. We got you 3 of them just so you will quit screwing with Lee.
Man, I told my boss. He came down like a week after the episode aired, and I was nervous. I was actually ready to get fired over it. And I said, hey, have you seen the episode? He says, no. I said, did you hear about the coveralls? Yep. Says, I don't give a fuck.
That's a good boss to have. He probably already knew Lee was a dirtbag anyway, or a dipshit, I should say. And so, yeah, if he was that way at the beginning, obviously the boss and everybody else probably knows how Lee is.
I have a pretty good feeling. I told him, I said, like, if you're here to give me shit, like, have at her. But yeah, and he did not care even a little bit. So it worked out for me pretty good. And Lee hasn't bothered me since. It's been great.
When you're looking for classic Chevy or GMC truck parts, brotherstrucks.com is your number one source for 1947 to 87 Chevy and GMC truck restoration parts. So whether you are restoring an original or looking to customize that classic truck, brotherstrucks.com has thousands of the highest quality truck parts for you to choose from. So head over to brotherstrucks.com and order your free catalog today. And don't forget to follow Brothers on Facebook and Instagram for daily updates and special offers too.
Hey guys, are you thinking about swapping out your old motor for a more reliable LSLT-based power plant? We've got great news for you. PSI Conversion is offering our listeners 10% off your order. Behind each PSI harness, you get over 10 years of experience in the business, online tech support, phone support, and harnesses made in the U.S. That's psiconversion.com. And don't forget, use code C10TALK and save 10% today.
Since the 1960s, US Mags has held the title for the longest-running custom wheel tradition. Experience the wheels that made history and set the trends for American truck culture for decades to come. From cast wheels to full custom 1- and 2-piece forged wheels, US Mags keeps you and your truck in mind with every new design and model. Our cast wheel series are designed specifically for Chevy trucks and are stocked and ready to ship, giving you the wheels you need when you need them with perfect fitment. Set your ride apart with our custom forged wheels, available in just about any finish and fitment desired. US Mags are guaranteed to distinguish your style and attitude from the rest.
Yeah, and he did not care even a little bit. So it worked out for me pretty good. And Lee hasn't bothered me since. It's been great.
Well, it's super funny. I'm glad you did it. It just works out perfect because this guy shows up. He's in $1 million car, the Lambo. You show up in the Calico C10. I mean, it's got 10 different colors and parts. Who knows? And the guys even said, they're like, we got $1 million car versus $1,000 truck. And then you, with your coveralls, because they're definitely worn, they're greasy. It just adds to the whole get up. So I think what you need to do is you need to reach out to this coverall. Hopefully work has gotten you a set of coveralls, or somebody has, because you need to have your own Austin coveralls.
They actually did. So it did work out too for me that way. I do have my own pair now.
So I dig the Trailblazer wheels. It looks like you kind of painted them a gold color. Any thought on that? Why'd you go with that? It looks cool with the truck and the blue and everything else. Just kind of gives it a little bit of an identity there.
So honestly, the truck is just a whole bunch of leftovers. These wheels were originally on my daily driver that I drove for 5 years to work. I picked them up because I thought they were I just liked the wheel. I had them on my Silverado SS, like the same wheel, but in a 22. They're just reproduction wheels. So they're actually in a truck lug pattern. And I picked up the 20s. I was going to put like a drag pack on them and never ended up getting around to it. So I just put them on my daily. It was kind of a rotten old, just a regular cab short box, 2002 Chev pickup. And when I scrapped the truck, I pulled all the good parts off of it that I had in it. And the wheels just happened to be one of those parts. So they were kind of beat up, and I decided to spray bomb them gold. So the finish on them is just Rust-Oleum from Walmart.
Again, it just goes right with the working man's. It's the blue collar C10. I mean, everything about this thing is like scrapyard, leftover parts. You like to hustle, you like to wheel and deal, and you end up building this truck that ends up beating a Lambo. So it's great TV, right? I mean, you show up, you go through the struggle. It's rad shit, man. Even all the way up to the uniform. Lee's, come on, it's perfect. So
it
good.
Really is an underdog story, and it's even still surreal for me. I've gone back and I've watched the episode again, and it's hard to believe that it's even me that I pulled this off, and literally out of junk and just stuff that I had laying around or my friends had laying around, a whole bunch of parts that I found in sheds and barns and wheeled and dealed for. And yeah, it's crazy that it worked as well as it did, but I'm super pumped on it.
How about brakes? Stock brakes?
The front brakes are from 2020 Silverado, so they're almost a direct fit on the Escalade spindles. I had to space them out about 1/4 of an inch. And the rear brakes are SSBC brakes, and they were on my old daily driver. So I kept them when I scrapped it and then put them on this.
Nice. How did those guys find you?
So I'm not 100% sure. I did the whole strapping the truck to the shop floor thing, and the video blew up pretty good. It didn't go as crazy as actually I had hoped. But Garrett from American Muscle HD had gotten a hold of me, and he asked me if I had any more videos of it. So he ended up posting that. And afterwards, a little while after, Brian Scotto had on his Instagram that they were looking for fast trucks. So I had messaged him, and I waited and I waited, and I hadn't heard anything. The message never got opened, nothing like that. So I messaged Garrett from American Muscle HD, and I said, hey, tell Scotto to check his DMs or whatever. And like this whole time I'm thinking, like, there's no way I'm actually going to go. But just out of humor's sake, I thought, you know what, it'd be cool if he even saw it. And I guess Garrett messaged him, and within about an hour, I heard from Brian, and he said, yeah, like if you can make it out, the offer's there.
Perfect. Now, had you posted the the all-wheel drive snow one yet? I know I reposted on C10 Nation. I think that'd be like the nail in the coffin. I mean, what happened first? The strapping it down to the garage floor, or the all-wheel drive in the snow?
I think when I was actually out playing with the snow, I had done that first, to be honest.
Yeah, but either way, I think if I'm looking at your content and they see that, they're gonna be like, hey, we got to get this guy out. And I think sometimes they probably, not saying you were the chosen one, they just throw flyers and they're like, dude, you can make it. You're in this. It's like, sweet, I can make it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, first off, I believe I said no. I said, there's no way. Like, I can't do this. And I told my friend Cody about it. And he's one of my friends that actually ended up going out with us. And he said, yeah, like, that's crazy, man, but it'd be cool to go. And I said, yeah, like that'd be dope. And he got talking to his wife, and his wife actually convinced him to try and talk me into going. And we decided that we were going to try to piece the money together and get our asses out there. So in a roundabout way, like it was kind of a happy accident almost that we never thought would ever come to be.
Yeah. I mean, if you sit and think about it, if you don't do it, you'll never know how much fun you would have had, and you would have probably regretted it somewhat. But now that you went, like you said, it was struggles throughout, getting the truck ready, the transmission, the trip out. But then on that road home, you had to just be like, all right, we did it. Not only do we do it, we broke the truck, but we did it, and we beat a Lambo, and we were on Hoonigan. We came out, we kicked ass, and we had a good time.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like the feeling, it was unreal. We were a little stressed out about getting back into Canada and about the drive home, because it was a long drive. But yeah, like it was surreal heading home. It was overwhelming and a lot of anxiety waiting for that video to come up. That's for sure too. We had kind of a non-disclosure agreement, so we couldn't really tell anybody what had kind of happened. And we had to wait. Well, we went out end of January and had to wait till the middle of March or end of March in order to actually be able to talk about it. So, I
would think too, your nerves, like you said, you were on coffee and bangs, and then you're on a high. And I think you said you like tuned it the day before or the night before. And then at the end, did you kind of hit a wall like that next day, and you're like, all right, I just did it. I just gave like a week of my life. I haven't slept. I assume you hit a wall on the way home.
Man, like, I honestly didn't. I was able to ride it for quite a while. Once I did actually get home, I believe I got home around 3 p.m, and I passed out on the couch and I slept until noon the next day. It was crazy. Like, I've never slept like that in my life, but I slept like a baby. It was just a huge accomplishment that I did that, and we made it home in one piece.
Yeah, and the new trailer and everything else. It's a fun story for sure. So what's next? What's obviously you took the motor out, you're getting the motor redone, getting it freshened up. You upgraded the turbo. You got the 5.3 in there just so you can go fart around or enjoy it during the summer.
So I'm hoping that within the next few weeks, I've been kind of busting my ass on it lately. I'm gonna get it out. The 5.3 is hopefully going to last the rest of the summer. My next goal is to get it actually down to Kentucky for LS Fest in September. So I'm hoping that I can. Well, I've got a lot of things ironed out. So if the engine does go, I've got more stock bottom end LSs that I can stick right back in this, and that's a weekend job, so it's not a big deal. But yeah, like I'm hoping that I have everything kind of ironed out. The tune's good, everything's good in it, everything's sound, and I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. I do own a car trailer now, so I could probably trailer it down. I'd love to actually drive it from here to Bowling Green, race it, and then drive it home. But I don't know if it's worth the stress. But yeah, that's the next goal anyways.
All right. So September, you're going to make sure the map sensor is really, really secure this time. Get down there. No, yeah, I bet. So, I mean, really, is it ready to go for September, or what else you got to do?
Honestly, just like there's a few goofy little things that I'd like to do. I've got a water meth setup that I need to finish hooking up. One of the quarter panels, I warped it pretty bad when I was filling the gas filler hole. So I've got a patch that I'd like to do on the one bedside. A few wiring gremlins I'd like to work out. I'd like to get a nicer dash kind of put in it, and a few other little things. Nothing too serious. Kind of figure out the tuning as well, because I'm not a tuner by any means. But there's really not much else to do on this thing. So
have you had it professionally tuned?
No, I've never had a professional tuner look at it. It's all been me and stuff I learned on the internet. So I don't know how reliable it is, but it seemed to work for a little while.
Yeah, I almost wonder if you get it down to LS Fest, if they don't have a tuner there, or somebody you can get in the States. I don't know how hard it is out in Ontario to get a tuner. There's
probably one or two fairly good tuning shops in Ontario. I would imagine it's not terribly different down there. There's a lot of, well, this shop's better than that shop, and that shop's better than this shop, and shit like that. So you can never really get anybody to agree on if there is actually a good tuning shop. But yeah, I would love to actually have somebody kind of plug into this. And the biggest thing for me would be to learn, because if I blow this motor up and I stick a 4.8 liter in it, or a 6 liter, or a 6.2 or whatever, I'd love to be able to tune it myself and figure it out. And that way, then I'm a little more resilient that way. I don't have to go find somebody to plug into it and actually do it for me, right?
Well, I guess if you make the trip down and you drive it, you'll become real proficient at tuning it. You'll be sitting there with your laptop for a few days just running down to Kentucky.
Yeah, exactly. Well, with the Holly Terminator, it is nice. It does kind of figure itself out to a point, but there's a lot of stuff you also have to tell it. So learning my timing is a big thing. My fueling, not so much, but making sure I don't bend another rod, I think is priority number one.
How about the tranny? How'd that hold up?
It held up great. So it's like a 4L80E, and I've got like a Jake's Performance box on it. So it's actually full manual, and it held up really well. Obviously, like, there's no tuning involved in that if it's full manual, but I'm more than impressed with it. So, and the pump bushing's still in it as of right now. So we're doing better than it started.
Well, I think too, for us in the States, we always kind of have to remember is it's a little harder for you guys, right? The dollar isn't quite the same. I don't know, getting into how the inflation is adjusted. And it usually seems like right now the dollar for you guys is like your Canadian dollar is 75% to our $1. You got to spend a little bit more money. You get down to the States. I don't know how easy it is. You're a wheeler and dealer. So there's always little things that you guys have to do that seems like it's a little bit harder, but for you, but including weather. But at the end of the day, you and this truck what a journey and what a good time. And you and your buddies, do you think the same guys will end up jumping in if you come down to Kentucky?
Well, actually, I had a really good friend of mine, and he was super bummed out that he didn't get to go when we went to California. He couldn't get his passport in time. So I would actually love to include him. And hopefully the other guys are down to go too. So my buddy Scott, he's pretty keen on going. He's got an 87 Monte Carlo that he's got an LSA LSA blower on a 6-liter in it. So we'd like to actually get it down there as well.
Well, it sounds like a little caravan of you guys getting down there. It'll be a good time.
Yeah, it should be awesome. I'm super keen.
All right, what's left? I mean, we talked about the truck. We talked about Hoonigan. You've got some plans with it. When's the motor going to be done? The new motor or the 6.0?
Honestly, I'm pretty good friends with the guy that runs the machine shop, and I haven't heard from him in weeks, so I'm not even sure. It's probably just going to be another stock bottom end 6-liter, which is fine for now. There's been talk about getting a crank from a 6.6-liter gas and putting it in the 6-liter block, and essentially it'll make us a 396. So that might actually happen at some point as well. But I'm not sure what the next step will be as far as big power goes out of the motor.
But you probably won't have it or don't have any plans of having that put in by September.
Oh, heck no. I hope this 5.3 actually survives until then. It should be a pretty good motor. So I'd like to see what it'll do. I'd love to run I would love to get into the low 9s on a street tire with this motor.
Have you ever thought about trading in those bright orange coveralls for the Austin Speed Shop? I mean, you say you don't really have a lot of training, but as I listen to you, you figure shit out pretty good. So you're obviously pretty mechanical, or you surround yourself with guys that are, and then you are like a sponge. I mean, you think about how much you've done and learned over the last 24 months. And then you go back to you and being in high school in the 86 and the SS and now this truck. You're ready, man. You learned a lot, and you've went through a lot of problems and troubleshot and the struggles. And one of the things I always say is what you get when you don't get what you thought you wanted is experience. You got a lot of experience the last few years out of Chevy trucks, my brother.
I honestly try to pick up a lot from what surrounds me. I'm surrounded by heavy equipment. I'm surrounded by machines all the time, and I'm always kind of preaching to my friends. I say, a race car it's just a machine. So if you can take what you can apply with heavy equipment and apply it to something else, or anything in your environment, you can apply it to a race car, then why not? Nobody really ever showed me anything. I had to figure a lot of stuff out on my own. So if I can take what I learned somewhere else and use it to benefit me, then I'm always down for that. Jesse James is actually a huge inspiration to me. I've been watching him since they used to do Biker Build Off on Discovery Channel. And I used to watch Monster Garage all the time when I was a kid. And really, I guess this truck is somewhat of a Monster Garage build if you really think about it. So yeah, I would love to even meet Jesse someday. So Austin Speed Shop would be a super cool set of coveralls to be wearing.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool. I think you need to get a pair of those. I think you need to open up your own shop. And, maybe on the weekends, do you get a lot of your buddies that are building stuff, or do they hit you up and say, hey, I need some help on this?
Yeah, I've got a couple close friends. We're kind of the guys around town that, we do a lot of the V8 stuff. There's a lot of kids with, Honda Civics and stuff like that, Subarus and different stuff, but we're kind of the LS muscle car hot rod guys, and there's 3 or 4 of us, but yeah, it's a pretty good environment. We eat, sleep, and breathe it, so it's pretty cool.
You married, single?
Somewhat single. I've been seeing a girl, but yeah, I'm still living at home with the old man, so with mom and dad, I guess. And I'm a free man, really.
Well, I kind of figure, you think you can put that much time and energy into it. So that's what happens, right? You kind of, there's a sacrifice there. So that's why it's cool. The one guy, his wife saying, you got to do it. You got to do it. Cause she knew that this was an experience, maybe once in a lifetime experience. So it's cool that you have that much time and your free time. So if you're not out at the quarry, you can be, in the shop wrenching and making shit happen.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Cool. Austin, I don't know what else to hit. I mean, I love the truck. I love the style. I love the journey. And that's what it's all about. I like how you're talking about watching Monster Garage too. I mean, for us here in the States, I loved watching that show and everything that they would do. And you guys did that. You're literally living the real life blue collar C10 4-wheel drive Lambo eating 10. And it's just it's the true underdog story. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's been an amazing journey, that's for sure. Also, to add on to it's been a really long day. The whole Austin Speed Shop comment.
Now you got it.
The shop is Austin Speed Shop. I wasn't thinking of, my own speed shop.
I didn't even think about that either. So I was just like, all right, he's tired. He didn't get it. But I think maybe we'll call it Schiestel's. I know I butchered your name again, but something SS Speed Shop.
Yeah, no, I was totally off on a tangent there. But yeah, that's what I was going for anyways, is I was thinking, Jesse James's shop is Austin Speed Shop, but yeah,
now you got it. Now that's a Schiestel, right? I kind of messed it. So Schiestel Speed Shop. There you go. We'll do that. What is that? That's SSS. I don't think we're allowed to have. We're not allowed to say that in the United States. So we're not going to say that. We're just going to come up with something different. Bottom line is, in my mind, I just kind of think as much as you've done, and I understand you got a real job, but man, you're right on that cusp where you could probably have your own shop.
It's definitely a big confidence thing for me right now, because I've had other people tell me, they say, man, like, why aren't you working on cars? And I've thought about it. I actually almost took a job offer as a mechanic, and I couldn't really justify doing it with the wage. The only way I can really do it is if I do it on my own, in order to actually kind of pay myself enough to still be able to enjoy my hot rods. But ultimately, I would love to get out of crushing rock and get into building things like this. I just need to find a way that I can do it and have the confidence in doing it and keep it paying my bills as well, right? And without burning myself out or hopefully, like nobody ever wants to fail. I know it is a fact of life, but I would like to try and do it and avoid the chance of failure. So I got to step out on that limb and kind of give something a try at some point, but I'm not quite there yet. I'd love to get there, but not quite yet.
Hey, guess what? The best time is to fail when you live at home, because
exactly.
You're as a parent, you want your kids to kind of fail because they can always come back, right? They can always come back. You got a room, you got board, you got food, you got everything. Mom and dad aren't going to kick you out to the curb. And so it is the time to do it. So you're right on that cusp. I mean, obviously, I'm not here to tell you to leave the rock quarry job, tell Lee to stick it up his ass, but I think you got to be right there. And then you got to look at it too, the confidence. You said it. And you look back at where you were 5 years ago with the 86, or maybe it was a little bit longer, but you look at the 86, you look at where you are today, you're right there. And the cool thing about life is if you tried it and you did fail, first of all, you're not going to be homeless. Second of all, I guarantee you could find another job, at the quarry or doing something like that. That's the thing, is like that job's going to be there. You've got a good track record. As long as Lee's not on the interview panel, you're going to get a job. You're going to get a job wherever you want to get a job. So you have to look at it, and say, hey, where do I want to be in 5 years, 10 years? And mom and dad will take care of you. They'll hook you up. And so you just got to decide and go hustle up that work. I'm sure you can make it happen.
Well, that's just it. So right now, my ultimate goal was to kind of buy a house and, start a family and all this other stuff. Well, all this COVID stuff kind of happened, and the price of housing has gone through the roof in Canada. I don't know what it's like for you guys. But it kind of put that whole dream on the back burner. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to take the time where I'm probably not going to necessarily make progress in the traditional standpoint. And I'm going to kind of build this truck and see where it kind of takes me. And so far it's actually done quite a bit for me. So I'd be keen to see where else I end up with doing this and see if I get noticed a little more and get a little farther with it.
Well, keep doing what you're doing, and exposure like Hoonigan and going to LS Fest and anything else it's only going to help. So I think you're right there, my brother. I'm going to take you out. So again, I appreciate you sitting down with the C10 Nation, talking about your truck, your 4-wheel drive, all-wheel drive C10, boosted Super Sport. Again, where else can they get a hold of you? So I want to make sure I don't slaughter that. You got Facebook, you got anything else that you're working on social media wise?
So I just have my Instagram. I don't really do Facebook. We started kind of a little YouTube channel, and it's Divergent Automotive. And we have a few videos up on there. Haven't posted anything in a little while, but I'd like to get back into it. And I think the guys that I'm friends with, they want to get back into it as well. So hopefully we get some more stuff up on there. But yeah, mostly just Instagram that I'm busy on.
Yeah, and I'm going to give you a little bit of shit because you haven't posted a lot since you went out to Hoonigan, right?
Yeah.
You need to get back on that. You need to get back on that.
I really do. So like, all the pictures I've been taking lately have just been the truck sitting in the shop. And I'm thinking people are going to start to get sick of just seeing pictures of this thing in the shop. So I've been kind of putting it off because the next pictures I want to get are of this thing in the middle of an intersection, lighting all 4 tires going sideways.
Yeah, but again, remember, people want the content and they want to see that journey. You got it home, it was broke, you're fixing it, and it's the same struggles that everybody else is going through, and they want to see that, and it builds their confidence to know, hey, he's going through the same shit I'm going through. I freaking blew this up, or this didn't work out right, and so on and so forth. So get that content going. We'll do our part. We'll make sure we push out a lot of stuff on what you guys have going. Obviously, we'll share the Hoonigan stuff, we'll share the truck, and then anything else we can do, just let us know.
Awesome. That's perfect, man. I appreciate that.
Okay, Austin, I'm going to take you out. Again, it's Boost D SUPR Sport. So Boost D Super Sport. And you guys can check them out on Instagram. And then again, with the, is it Divergent Automotive?
Yep. Divergent Automotive.
All right. Not Divergent, but Divergent.
Yes, Divergent.
All right, Austin, stay on the line. I'm going to take you out. Thanks again for sitting down with C10 Talk.
Cool. Thank you.
I told you he was a crazy Canadian, right? Dude's got some skill, and what a cool journey. So check them out. Give them a follow on Instagram. Thanks for tuning in. Let me know what you guys think. Again, I'll be back with some content from the Slowdown episode 244 next week. All right. Thanks again for tuning in. Have a great week.